everyone, and welcome back to Getting to Know You, an Owners Club exclusive podcast. Today, our featured guest is Lauryn Hunnicutt. Before we get started, I'm going to ask you to go down, hit that subscribe button. I have a big goal for 100 subscribers by Monday, so please help me out. And also give her a like and add some edifying comments. We'd love to hear from our audience. Hi, Lauryn.
Hi, Kathy. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really excited to hear what your business is all about. You and I have had very little engagement up until this point, so that makes it even doubly interesting for me, and I'm excited to get started. So tell us a little bit about yourself personally. Who are you?
Yeah, very exciting. So I just wanted to start by saying thank you for inviting me on today. Being where I am today, I look back, I can see that it all really started back with my father's business. 16 years old, I actually graduated high school early. I was done with my credits and just kind of was like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm ready to move on. So graduated early and started college. My father's business operator at the time, who was also his wife at the time, they separated and he was kind of thrown into having a business that he was just a very high level worker but didn't know a whole lot as far as like the background, the operating the systems, and really how to be more efficient. He was still pen and paper. We had QuickBooks desktop, if that if that means anything to you. So when I first came in, I was just kind of thrown into the fire and had to figure it out. There weren't a whole lot of answers that could be answered. So from there, I just kind of dug in and found ways to bring the systems and the operations to where it was going to be easier on me, because we were, having instances where our technicians would go out for the day, and it's a window and door company. And they would cut themselves and bleed all over their paper that had all their notes, and then the notes are lost. So I learned really quickly that systems and having that set up to where it would be online and we would actually have a record and be able to go back, was extremely important. And then also the time in which we communicated with leads and customers was a huge downfall to my father's business. So he had built a great rapport, being that it was my grandfather's business and passed down to him. But those were things that I really had to kind of, bring up to par. So have done that for the past, gosh, almost 14 years. And I'm still to this day working. I have an operator that helps me to up my systems as I can here and there by Google reviews and websites and all the interactive things, email campaigns, which I'm now learning more and more about in Owners Club, and Pace really pushing us to keep that contact. And then from there at 21, I purchased my first house and ended up moving in with my boyfriend at the time. So rented my house out after about a year of living there, and had some tenants, and things went really great until they didn't. So had to learn the hard way, the leases and the contracts and security deposits and evictions, and learn all those hard things. But luckily it was still a win for me. I still made out pretty well, but learned some good lessons up front before it was going to be breaking to me financially. And then from there, I really just fell in love with it. I was like, this is pretty cool. Just the people part behind it of, being able to help people with giving them housing solutions. And then fast forward, I had some side jobs in between. I was always the friend that, like, it was a joke about how many things I had my hands in. I had a horse boarding business. My father has 20 acres in Maryland, which is my hometown. So I turned that into a horse boarding business, and then found ways to add value into that. I started training horses and giving horseback riding lessons, and it was great. But then it quickly became one of those things where I wasn't getting home until 10 p.m. and I was very, very exhausted. But just didn't understand that businesses could be run without your hands being fully in the pot all day, every day. Because my father, again, love him very much. I've learned a lot of my work ethic from him, but he still struggles with that high level worker mentality versus the owner and delegating certain tasks. So fast forward, I also love to travel, and I found myself on a safari in Africa. And I'm on YouTube and fall into Pace Morby. Had never heard of his name, didn't know what creative finance was, sub two, had never heard of any of that. And I was looking for a way. I'm like, there's got to be a quicker way. There's got to be I don't mind putting in the hard work, but like this is taking way too long. And went down the rabbit hole of all that is Pace Morby. And quickly, so we had hours in between certain cities when we would move around when I was in Kenya and Tanzania. And so I quickly got a hold of what sub two was and private money lending, and found Gator. So signed up for Gator before I ever even left Africa. And I remember I was sitting on the beach in Tanzania, and I'm like, signing up for Gator and just trying to figure out how I can get my first deal. I come back home, kind of drag my feet a little bit as far as the LLC stuff, and just really kind of get wrapped up in the knowledge of it all. And was a really, really, really great start, because now I think that, looking back, it has equipped me with the knowledge of when I'm building the relationships with private money lenders and people that want to be capital partners, I can understand the point of view that they're coming from. So now I'm at a point in my business where I'm looking for, more larger sums of money than what I was lending at the time. But it's still just, I think it really gave me that understanding and leg up to know what's important to a private money lender. And then also to educate them. There's a lot of private money lenders that I've worked with that just lend. And, it's, to me, it's also important to educate them so they are lending on something that's secure and makes sense. And that's been really cool too, to be able to share that knowledge and equip people with all the great things that I've learned from the community and Pace Morby. So yeah, I would say that that's like my my brief overview of where I came from, and I'm just super passionate about all the things that is real estate and owners club and Pace Morby, because it really has been life changing. I mean, I think I'm coming up on 2 years, and it's been like, looking back, I'm like, wow, my life looks nothing like it did 2 years ago.
That's incredible. The growth can happen. I mean, it happens daily, right? But we
Yeah,
don't always see it until we step back, because we're a part
absolutely.
of it every single day. So that's really incredible. So tell us about your leap to Owners Club when you were at Squad Up.
Yeah, great question. So, being at Squad Up, again, going back to me being a person that loves travel outside of real estate, that's one of my passions. So I'm coming to Squad Up, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to Peru right after Squad Up Summit. I'm going on this trip, so I'm ready to come and make connections, but I'm also super excited for this trip to Peru. Um, and Pace mentions, Squat Up is always really great, right? As far as the connections, and it just like fuels everybody, and you can just feel it as soon as you walk into the room and just like see people's eyes on fire. And it's just really cool to be around that many people that are passionate and genuine. So that alone was huge. And then when he pitched Owners Club, it was really just a no questions asked for me. I was sold, just because I know the value that Pace has always provided us, being in, I come from Gator, and then I have lots of friends that are in sub two and TC. So there wasn't a doubt in my mind that if Pace is selling a mastermind, that this was going to be further, and provide so much value, than like more than he's ever provided to anyone ever before, right? So I'm like, he's not even done doing the pitch, and I'm like, where can I sign up? Like, like, can I get in line now? So that it really was easy for me. I think the price tag, right? It kind of makes you stutter a little bit at first, but being, I was in for year one, and then again, no questions asked to roll over for year two. It just the continuous value that he's provided to us, and then the team that he's built around it, the connections that I've built in it, it has surpassed any of my expectations. I had never been in a mastermind before. I had been in other communities and groups before Paces. But kind of like Pace talks about, I've also heard a lot of other people talk about, looking back, those communities didn't provide nearly the value even Gator did. So just again, knowing who Pace was and knowing everything that he had already done for us, and just the genuine person that he is on always wanting to help people. And then him breeding that into the communities that, he builds, it was an easy sell for me. And yeah, it was, again, life changing.
Yeah, we have a similarity. So you went to Peru after Squat Up, and I went to Thailand.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
I
that's so
don't know if you
cool.
experienced the same thing I did, but I was so jazzed from Squat Up. You leave with this energy and this fire burning in your soul. And for me to take that energy and then go on vacation, it was like, but I want to work. It's like we call it work, but it's just that fire, and you just want to
hmm
keep moving and keep going and, you know, doing all the things. I don't know if you experienced that in Peru, but I found myself in Thailand, like excited to get back
Yeah.
and start,
Yep.
yeah, really, really like start digging in. So,
Yeah, no, I
yeah.
really did. And then in Peru, I don't know how I haven't been to Thailand yet, but in Peru, so part of the trip was hiking Machu Picchu. So like
Mhm.
there wasn't even any real remote work. Like I did some journaling and stuff, but I didn't have cell service most of the time. So yeah, I was itching to I'm like, this is a wonderful opportunity, but I kind of just want to go home so I can I can build off of all these amazing things that have just happened.
Yeah, similar experience.
Yeah.
So what are you working on now? What
Yeah.
occupies your day?
So right now, portion of my day is still committed to my father's business. That's essentially my W-2. But I have built, again, systems, and I have some team members that I've really been trying to, get to step up a little bit more so I can step out. Long-term goal with that is to purchase that business so I can retire my father and get him to understand that he doesn't have to work for the rest of his life. Um, and then the rest of my day, we are actually getting ready to close on a business acquisition. So I have a partner, Casey Bluford, wonderful, wonderful partner. Tell everybody he's like the yin to my yang. And when I say that, he's married, but just very there's everything we did the right way, really. Like we dug in as far as partnership and what that looks like, and asked all the hard questions up front, and really just thought about things like, would you want to go to dinner with this person, rather than oh, it's a good business partner. We look at each other kind of like life partners, in the sense that business for us, I know for him and I both, business is life. Like you said, we don't really look at our work as work. It's, we love what we do. And it very much is just incorporated to everything that we do. So we purchased a FedEx contract. So we are, I don't know if you're aware of what that is. And I honestly wasn't. About 8 months ago, I had no idea that FedEx was contractor operated.
I didn't know
So we
that either. So
Yeah,
feel
it's
free to
very,
expand.
very interesting. And so Amazon, I'm not quite sure about UPS, but I know Amazon is structured very similarly as well, in the sense that they have contractors that own zip codes. And then that contractor is responsible for hiring teams and their systems and operations within those zip codes.
Fascinating.
Thank you.
Did
So
not
yeah,
know that at all.
learn something new every day.
Oh,
So that has been quite the learning journey. We've had hard times and things that, just like with real estate, business is very similar in the sense that there is always going to be something that pops up that you don't expect. I don't know if do any fix and flips, but they always say, right, you got to be prepared for the worst. And business acquisitions is very, very similar in that sense. But again, having a great partner, and then, great lenders that we've worked with. We actually have a private money lender in Owners Club. That's a good friend of mine, Carolina Hernandez. So it's been really cool to be able to like piece the Owners Club together into that. And then my business partner Casey, I think his plan is to to come in with me next year. So it's cool to actually be able to utilize that Owners Club piece, and be able to have a story from that as well. So that is a lot of my day to day. We've gotten to a point to where our systems and our team has really come along from where it was. Again, when the seller, he was more pen and paper, pen and paper gentleman. He's older. So we did come in and we had to really be hands on in the beginning, but now we've gotten to a really good spot. The manager that came with, the operation, she's been a lifesaver. And now we're actually working on our next business acquisition. So we have two IOIs in on two businesses that are event based. So one's like an event security and one is kind of like an event contractor business, and they work with nonprofits. So I can't really give too much yet because it's not under contract, but we are always looking for the next business acquisition, and always looking for more partners and private money lenders that want to be a part of that story. And then that kind of fuels it does fuel my Mount Everest. So in being able to build those relationships and have, the connections and the stories and, really nurture that and build that over the next couple years, my goal is to be able to help others do the same, because Lauryn Hunnicutt 2 years ago had no idea that I don't want to say it's easy to buy businesses, but it's a lot easier than Lauren 2 years ago would have ever imagined.
That is very encouraging, I'm sure it is for me as I'm looking at acquiring some businesses this year, but also anyone who's listening who thinks that that is like the big scary thing to do, and to hear that it is easier than you might think it is.
Yeah.
So going back to what you said about the fix and flip and not knowing things, ironically, I did flip a business and
Okay.
it made $20,000 in 11 months. And then I spent 2 years on my fix and flip and lost $6,000. And that was a single family home. But there's always this like topsy turvy. You're learning things, you're advancing, you're growing, and then you have this experience. I call them wins and lessons, right? There's
Yep.
no real losses. You have
Right.
wins and you have lessons. So I
Love
had a
that.
lot of lessons on that single family fix and flip, and that's okay. You just keep moving forward. You take what you can from it and you learn, and you keep applying, new skills as you come across them. So business acquisition is a new skill, was for you. You not something you could foresee 2 years ago. And here you are, with one already in your pocket and two more potentially, and always looking for your next one. So that's really exciting. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, you get, like you said, they look at the business acquisitions as like this big scary monster because it just seems so far fetched. Because again, our culture and society doesn't push that. They're like, oh, hey, anybody can do that. But luckily, we're in Owners Club and the communities that teach us, pace, teach us that it is very much possible. And again, like you said, mindset. So I switched over really for the purpose of my background and really feeling the like fuel and passion that came behind the business acquisitions. And I think that was something that came from my father's business, but just being able to share that with others. And then one business acquisition could essentially change somebody's life versus, the single family homes are wonderful and you can still change people's lives with those, especially the people that are focused on like affordable housing. I think that that's wonderful. But the cash flow that comes from one single family home versus one business acquisition can be like monumentally different. And that was really what kind of pushed me. So I still love real estate, still am, you know, I would still love to continue to buy. It's just not been my main focus.
Yeah, sure. What is your Mount Everest? Do you have it in a single sentence?
So I would say that because I've got the like long version, right? I had to go back and change it quite a few times. But I would say my one sentence version would be empowering entrepreneurs through business acquisitions and real estate to buy back America. That would
Mm,
be like my one liner.
I love it. Let's do it before it's all gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, how could someone bring value to you? What do you need today in your business?
Great question. So we always need capital partners and lenders. And then I'd be happy to send you my buy box to, to post with it. But I typically am looking for 3-bed, 2-bath homes in the Texas, Tennessee, Arizona, North Carolina, and Georgia markets. And that's a continuous thing. I just haven't put a whole lot of effort there. And then boring businesses. So we don't have really any set markets that we're in. I would say the metro areas are typically they breed better numbers for most businesses just because of the volume of business that is there. But boring businesses, anything from like 1 to 3 million that is SBA eligible, and then if you have a seller that is open to seller financing or some type of creative, that's always going to be a favorite.
And what is the way that you like to be contacted?
They can contact me at konastrategicconsulting at gmail.com, or my business number, which would be 817-809-3673.
And are these, is that contact your email and your phone number also on your Blink card?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. So I will put in the show notes her Blink card, her business phone number, and her email. So please reach out to Lauren. She would love to hear from you. I just want to say thank you so much for being a part of my show. And I'm super excited to highlight you, especially coming into Monterey next week. My
So
goal is to get
exciting.
everybody published by Sunday. So,
So
yeah,
exciting. I appreciate that.
yeah, absolutely. So thank you again, Lauren, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for having me on today. I appreciate your time.